Hello, my name is Jim. I'd like to introduce you to myself. I'm an alcoholic. Uh, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about what it was like, what happened, and what it's like today. I grew up in a Catholic family, had a great education, went to 8 years of Catholic elementary school, 4 years of Catholic high school, and 2 years of college at the University of Dayton. Alcoholism has always been a problem for me. I started at a very young age. I was 14 years old when I had my first drink of alcohol, and that was at a wedding reception. I was there with friends of mine, and it just seemed to be the thing to do. But the unfortunate part about that was something in my head clicked that said, you know what, I really enjoy this. I like what it's making me feel. And so all through high school, I drank periodically, not all the time, but you know, the way high schoolers do. By the time I got to be a senior, I was drinking probably on a weekly basis on the weekends. Back then, the drinking age was 18, so that made it much easier to obtain alcohol. Left there, graduated, went to the University of Dayton, enjoyed life there, joined a fraternity. My drinking career really took off when I joined there. Used to hit bars all the time, had parties, wild parties, and even in between then, when I was 20 years old, I got introduced to marijuana and started smoking that. Luckily, that didn't last, but my drinking career did. While I was at the University of Dayton, I met a nurse, and at the age of, let me backtrack a little, got a good job and never finished school. A great job offer, and took it. And after that, I decided, well, if I've got a great job, it's probably a good time to get married. So all my friends seemed to be doing that, so I got married. Moved from Dayton to Chicago. Didn't know anybody in Chicago, but I had a good job. My wife was a nurse, so she was able to find employment easily. And lived in Chicago and thought, well, changing location may help my drinking problem. It didn't, not at all. I drank there, and I drank myself out of the job I had. So ended up moving back to Dayton, Ohio. When I got back here, the only thing I knew was being in sales, which I wasn't doing well at because there was too much alcohol involved. But I knew construction. I'd always worked construction, so I got a job doing that. And then came to the realization, too, that construction workers drink a lot, too. So I got into that. But all through this, I really wasn't what I would consider myself an alcoholic, because I still had control of life. I would drink on Fridays. And that was probably about the only day I did. And then I found an excuse to drink on Saturdays. Built a nice house for myself. Had a beautiful place in the suburbs. But kept drinking. And my drinking ended up ruining my marriage. So I ended up losing everything. Met another woman and moved into a rental in a very nice neighborhood. Fell in love with her and got remarried. We moved into a nice house in a nice neighborhood and decided it was time to have children, so we did. The entire time this was going on, I kept drinking, but I always thought my drinking was under control. It was an I've got this type attitude. As my kids started growing, My drinking didn't stop, but I was able to maintain a job. I was able to provide for my family, and I thought that was all that was really necessary. And the only person I was fooling was myself. When my children were 14 and 12, my wife passed away. And it was not a good position to be in, to be an active alcoholic and be left with 2 children to raise. I did my best to keep life going, but my alcoholism kept getting in the way. I missed a lot of the things they were doing at school, a lot of important events. So my children got into college and left, and I moved out of the house I was in because it was too big, purchased the house next door, and moved in there. Everything I kept doing, I kept thinking my alcoholism would slow down, but it never did. When my wife passed away, I got a huge life insurance settlement, so I had it made fairly well. I was working, had money, had a good house, but what I didn't have was myself. So eventually, I went through all the money, had to sell the house, ended up moving into a condominium, at which point life kept going on, but things really never slowed down for my alcoholic thinking. You know, always thinking that this time will be the last time. You know, hugging that toilet bowl and thinking, oh, I'm never going to do this again. But I always ended up doing it again. Got remarried, moved to a beautiful home in Beaver Creek, Ohio. Stopped drinking periodically. I would go in spurts. I was attending AA meetings religiously, but it wasn't slowing my alcoholism down. Ended up getting a DUI, and it was my 7th DUI. That one was a felony. That one sent me to prison. I had a tough time when I was in prison. Was isolated, didn't get along with a lot of people there, failed to admit a lot of things, and had to look back on my life because I was now older, and looked back and thought, you know, where is it all gone? And the sad part is I don't remember a lot of it because I drank myself through it. That's not life. That's a living death. You know, it just wasn't the great way to live. Ended up, like I said, in prison. Had nowhere to go. My family didn't want to have anything to do with me. I had a sister that did, but my kids didn't want to. I'd lost both of them. And had nowhere to turn to. And luckily, I was able to hook up with a counselor who got me in touch with Good Shepherd Ministries, which is where I live now. I've been at Good Shepherd for 4 years, and it has been the cornerstone of my recovery. Met a lot of great men here, made a lot of good friends. I attend AA meetings every day religiously. It's what keeps my program in line. I am an alcoholic. I'm never going to wake up one day and not be. All I can do is wake up sober, get through the day, and go to bed sober that night. If I can do that every day, and like they say, one day at a time, this is what works. It works for me. You know, yes, when I was younger, I dabbled in drugs, I dabbled in cocaine, marijuana, all those kind of things. But alcoholism was my number one choice, alcohol. I'm going to go to my grave as an alcoholic, but hopefully I'm going to go there sober now. I remember everything now. I remember what I did during the day. I remember what I did at night. I woke up sober this morning so I could do this. I looked forward to it. So if I can help one person out there, this has all been worthwhile. It's a good life in sobriety. I never thought it could be. I never thought I could live without that drink getting me through, but I can. It's much better today. Of my top 10 things in life, alcoholism is number one, or being an alcoholic and not drinking is my number one thing. If I don't drink today, the other 9 are going to come true for me. And that's what happened in my life. And I'm happy and content today. And hopefully this can help someone out there. I'm Jim. I am an alcoholic.